All right, so fingers crossed. Let's see if this works. This is CVE 2022-30190, aka follina. Now, I don't normally do videos like this, but this was just too crazy. What you just saw was a 0-day vulnerability, a hack that has no fix, no patch.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's honestly no patch available right now, and it's a remote code execution, right? So that's, hey, the crown jewel. That's high critical severity.
Like John said, this vulnerability is brand new, pretty scary, high severity. Like the hacking researching community just became aware of this over the weekend. So we have to look at it, right? In fact, I want you to play with this. I'm gonna walk you through how to set up this vulnerability in your own lab so you can see what this is like. A current 0-day that has no fix. That's kind of cool. But before we do that, I do want to talk about how this thing works, because it doesn't work like you think it might. Now, to do this, I do need some help, so I called my good buddy and hacking researcher, John Hammond. He graciously shared his time with me despite being like totally sleep deprived from staying up all night with his team to research this thing, this attack, but he had some coffee, so we're good. Now, real quick, Future Chuck is going to jump in and tell us about our sponsor, IT Pro TV, so go ahead, Future Chuck. IT Pro TV is what I use to learn and study IT stuff. From Python to Linux to, you guessed it, hacking. So if you're watching this video and thinking, man, this stuff is really cool, I want to learn more about this, I want to dive deeper, IT Pro TV. They've got all the courses, hands-on labs, pretty much everything you need to become a hacker. Or pick your poison, whatever you want to be, network engineer, system admin. And I don't care if you're just getting started or you're more advanced in your career and you want to learn a new skill, they got you covered. So check them out, link below, itpro.tv/networkchuck. If you use the code networkchuck, you'll get 30% off forever. So check them out. Now, the scariest thing about this attack is that it's pretty simple. Let's say I receive an email, a phishing email, and inside that email is a harmless looking Word document that of course I have to download. But as you may have guessed, this is not any normal Word document. You see, when I open this thing, first, okay, it's blank, nothing there, but then I get this strange pop-up, this troubleshooting message. Now remember this thing, it's the key, we'll come back to it here in a bit. Now while this thing is running, something else is happening. I'm not aware of it. You see, the hacker, he already has me. At this point, he has a reverse shell to my system. He has control of my system, and I have no idea what's going on. I'm just sitting here sipping coffee trying to wake up. So clearly something happened here, and it had something to do with that Word document and Microsoft Word. But it's not what you think, because typically in Microsoft Office hacking scenarios, it comes down to macros. Macros are fantastic. They're scripts that allow you to automate a lot of the tasks in Microsoft Office, and of course hackers use that to do nefarious things. But by default, in most situations, macros are disabled. And that's what makes this hack so interesting. Hackers found another way, another path, a path that is still unblocked. It all comes down to this thing right here. The Microsoft Support Diagnostic Tool, or MSDT for short. For some reason, this tool, which is meant to help you troubleshoot issues, when it's invoked, when it's run, it allows you to run commands. And when I say you, I mean the attacker, the hacker.
Yes, so Microsoft Word will kind of open and reach out to an external reference, and then that is staged with an HTML payload, which is kind of crazy, to open up like a file protocol handler. And that will just kick off code. Like you can run PowerShell commands or command prompt commands and do whatever nefarious stuff a hacker might do.
I'll dive a bit deeper into how that works here in a moment, but I mean, watch this. Using this amazing script written by John Hammond, which I'll cover here in a moment, I can do anything like something simple, like launching calculator. Harmless, not scary. Or I can do a reverse shell, giving me, the attacker, the hacker, complete control, remote control of the user system. And this is just baby stuff. In the hands of a skilled hacker, sky's the limit. Lateral movement to other systems, privilege escalation, you can do pretty much whatever you want.
So when we were exploring the actual malicious payload, they had done some interesting stuff. If we were to go ahead and decode that base 64 that we would have seen in that payload, they opened the command prompt, cmd.exe, and they kill any previous MSDT invocations, probably just to, hey, let this thing run cleanly. Alongside that, they move into just, hey, a public users directory and loop through what is probably a RAR file, like a zip archive or any compressed file size that I'm assuming we can presume is where and how this original document got on the machine. But included in that RAR file is a cab file, and that's a cabinet file for some Microsoft storage stuff. But ultimately, they have this strange RGB.exe, or more malware, their final stage here, that would be even more malicious. Maybe that's a remote access Trojan. Maybe that's, hey, a cryptocurrency miner. Maybe that's ransomware. Truthfully, we don't quite know yet.
Now, hacking researchers only know about this vulnerability because they found this document. This Word doc that's doing some crazy, weird things. This is the bomb, as John Hammond would say.
Python script, this build script that I'm kind of showcasing, is more just for the convenience of making the detonator, so to speak. All that would have been found on the victim or the target is the document, and then the commands that would have ran following it.
What we don't have is the detonator, the actual hacking malicious software that is creating this Word document and sitting on the side doing nefarious things. And that's where hacking researchers like John Hammond come into play. They're so smart, they are basically wizards, and they're able to look at things like this, the Word document, the bomb, and they can recreate the detonator, the malicious script that can take advantage of this vulnerability. And that's how we're able to play with it right now. In fact, here's John's script, and it's just amazing. It's written in Python, and it can take full advantage of this vulnerability. Now, we're almost there. We're about to play with it. I know you're itching, but I do want to show you a few more things under the hood of how this thing's like working. What's actually happening when you're clicking that document. Actually, John's going to tell us. Go ahead, John.
So I want to show you a little bit of behind the scenes as to how the heck this thing works. We'll go ahead and open up the Python script. Way down at the bottom, I kind of chat about in the comments here what this is all doing. I take an original Microsoft Word skeleton, like what we knew was, the malicious payload, and then I sort of massage it and rework it into the code that we want to run. It tracks down, okay, this is where we're going to end up placing our actual server to call back to, and just plopping it in to an external location. We build out the Office file after we recreate it, and we slap in some strange looking code, but I want to go ahead and grab this whole thing here.
So this looks fun. A lot of stuff going on here.
So bear with me. I know this looks pretty wild, but if you kind of press the I believe button, I'll walk through some of the parts here. We end up changing in this HTML file kind of the location of our address bar. Like, hey, at the very top of the web browser, if you were invoking this thing naturally, you tell it, rather than an HTTP schema, like a URL, right, or a website,
right,
you say, I want to go to this weird MSDT colon, rather than HTTP colon. And for some reason, we can pass that arguments and parameters, and we can tell it to do stuff like browse for a file that just happens to have some spooky, scary PowerShell syntax in here that'll take a base 64 payload and then decode it, and it'll just run it. It'll blindly go ahead and allow that code to execute. It uses some weird obfuscations in here that we don't need to dive into.
Right.
But our payload is something that we can go ahead and kick off.
Now, I'm not going any deeper on this here in this video, because honestly, I'm anxious to show you how to play with this. I'm going to do it like right now. But if you do want a deeper dive and kind of a timeline on how this thing is being discovered and what we're still learning about it, because you should want to know that, go check out John Hammond's YouTube channel. In fact, he just released a video on how this thing was discovered and how it's working, kind of a deeper mechanic look at it. And also he has this fantastic article that details a lot of what happened. And that article is constantly growing and being updated. And again, a massive shout out to John Hammond for jumping on this call with me despite being super tired. And a shout out to all the hacking researchers out there that are helping us discover and learn what this thing is, and ultimately helping keep everyone safe. So anyways, now we're gonna jump over to an over-caffeinated Hawaiian shirt Chuck, who's going to manically show you how to set this up in your own lab and play with a 0-day vulnerability, which I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, go ahead. So here's what you need to do this, and it's completely free and completely fun. First, you will need a hypervisor like VirtualBox, which is what I'm going to be using. It's free, go ahead and download it right now. And then you'll need two things: a Kali Linux box, or really any Linux box that can install Python and run Python, and then the machine you're attacking, which will be Windows. I'm going to be demoing the latest and greatest Windows 11, and on that Windows 11 box, we'll also install Microsoft Office. Again, no license keys, no fees. We can do this all for free right now. Did that rhyme? I'm gonna go with it. Sip of coffee for rhyming. Now again, your first stop is to go out and download VirtualBox from virtualbox.org. Download that sucker, install it. VirtualBox will allow you to create virtual machines right here on the computer you are using. Now, I'm not going to go through all the details of setting up VirtualBox and making sure it runs well. I do have a video right around here somewhere that already covers that. So if you hit a roadblock while you're doing this, check out that video. I probably address your issue. And while you're getting VirtualBox installed, we're going to go ahead and download Kali Linux and Windows 11. All links below. And for me, I'm going to download the VirtualBox 64-bit OVA by clicking that button right there. And then we'll also download the Windows 11 development environment, and we'll download it for VirtualBox. A fair warning, this thing's pretty beefy, 18.5 gigs. If that's too much for you, you can download the Windows 11 ISO from Windows and just install it that way. This is by far the easiest way though. Now once you've waited 3 years for everything to download and you've had a little bit of coffee, we can create our virtual machines, our hacking environment here in VirtualBox. And it's actually pretty simple. First we'll click on Import, right here at the top. We'll locate our OVA by clicking on the folder icon, click on that, and then go to that download for Kali Linux. Mine is right here. Click on that, open it. Feel free to adjust your settings, like I'll rename mine. And then click on Import. And yes, I agree. Go, 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 go. Give it a minute, 2 minutes, make up your mind, and take a quick coffee break. And once the import finishes, we'll go ahead and do it one more time. Let's import Windows. Click on Import at the top. Let's go find that Windows file we downloaded, the Windows OVA. Here's mine right here. And again, feel free to change some information here. And click on Import. Import. Why did I do an emphasis like that? Import. There we go. That might take a minute, but once it's done, let's go ahead and boot up Kali. Click on that sucker, start it. We'll get logged in with Kali. Excellent. And then we'll go ahead and boot up our Windows 11 box. Go ahead and start that sucker. And we are in. Now we're almost ready to hack, but now we have to install Microsoft Office on our Windows 11 box. Very simple, very easy. Check this out. Go ahead and fire up the web browser in Microsoft Windows 11. I don't know why I said Microsoft before that. And link below, we're gonna navigate out to, actually I can't copy and paste, I'm gonna enable that real quick. Settings, advanced, bidirectional drag and dropping, enabled. Now I can paste, there we go. We're gonna download the Office deployment tool from Microsoft. Gonna click on this right here, and then we'll execute that sucker when it's done. Now I feel like I have to say this, yes, we're doing this in a virtual environment, boxes that I don't mind destroying. You should do that too. Don't do this on live environments that you need, or your family or friends, don't do that to them. Anyways, continue, blah, 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 accept all things blindly. I'll put it in my user folder, click OK, and done. And then one more thing, we're gonna launch our command prompt, cmd, and making sure we're in our user folder, we should be by default. We'll type in setup.exe /configuration, and we'll specify this configuration file. Let me go find it real quick. Yours should be the same as mine, so you can just copy and paste what I do here. It'll be the configuration Office 2021 Enterprise.xml, easy for me to say, and that's it. Hit enter, and it will install Office for you right now. Oh wait, no, it's supposed to be configure, not configuration. So fix that real quick and then run it. There we go, see, mistakes happen, coffee break for mistakes. Hit yes, and it's getting things ready. Again, take a little coffee break, it'll take just a moment. And actually, while that's doing that, let's go ahead and go over here to our Linux box, Kali Linux. Go ahead and launch a terminal, our favorite place. The first thing we have to do is download John Hammond's amazing program that he wrote. Reverse engineered that malware. So right here, we're gonna type in git clone, and we'll paste that sucker. Paste a link to that, and hit enter. Git is cloning it, cloned. If I hit ls, there it is right there, msdt-follina. Let's jump into that directory real quick. cd msd blah blah follina. There we go. We're in. Type in ls once more, and we see all the files. I'll clear my screen. Now to make this happen, it's one simple command. We're gonna type in python 3 and then follina.py, referencing John's script. When we hit enter, that's it. Now if we open up our file explorer or folder, whatever you want to call it in Linux, and jump into that msdt follina folder, we have a new file there. Follina.doc. This is the document. This is the document they have to open to get hacked. So over here in Windows, let's see if we can do this real quick. We may not be able to. I'll open up Finder, go to my desktop, and I'll see if I can drag this file over there. Follina, come on over. VirtualBox does not like that. No worries, we can do a quick Python web server to copy that over. Watch this. Open up another terminal. First, let's figure out what our IP address is. IP address 10.0.2.15. Remember that. Now let's set up a quick web server. First, we'll jump into our MSDT directory once more. cd msdt-follina. Make sure you do this, don't skip it. And then we'll launch our Python web server from this directory. Python --m and then http-server. And then we'll specify port 8080. Bam. Python web server running. Now we're here in Windows, so we're gonna launch our web browser, and we're gonna navigate out to that IP address, 10.0.2.15, and we'll specify port 8080. Now right now it looks like my VirtualBox machines cannot access each other. We gotta change that real quick. There's a few ways to do this, but I'm gonna do it this way. First, we'll create a new network. Don't worry, it's very quick. Go up here to the top, click on File. My arrow's covering that, I'm sorry. Click on File, Preferences, and then we'll click on Network, and then we'll create a new network right here. Click on that plus icon there. We'll name it whatever you want to name it. You can keep everything else as default, click OK and OK. And then we'll change our virtual machines to actually use that network we created. So we'll jump into our Windows machine real quick, click on settings, go to network, and we'll change the attached to right here from NAT to NAT network. And we'll change it to our new one we created. Hacking Fun is what I named mine. And then under advanced, we'll change the promiscuous mode from deny to allow all and click OK. Let's do the exact same thing to our Kali Linux box. Settings, network, change NAT to NAT network, our new network, and then advanced promiscuous mode will be allow all and OK. Now things should be working great. I'll see what my new IP address is here on my Kali Linux box, 10.0.2.4, perfect. I'll go ahead and run that command one more time, python-m http.server 8080, and then I'll check it over here, 10.0.2.4 port 8080. Bam, I just accessed a web server I created out of thin air. It's fun. Now what we're gonna do here is click on the follina.doc we see right there. Click on that and it will download. Excellent. Now at this point, we're almost ready. Now my Office installation is complete. Close, we're good there. I'm gonna close my web browser. In fact, I'll close everything to get ready for the attack, to see it happen. It's gonna be awesome. And back on my Kali Linux box, I'm gonna go ahead and stop with my web server with Control C. Cool. And looking back at my other terminal, I still have follina running. Now let's launch that Word document over here in Windows. I'll launch my Windows Explorer here. Go to my downloads folder where I know follina is. There's follina. Okay, follina, let's see what you got. Let's launch that document. Okay, here we go. What's gonna happen? Now it's opening in protected view. Okay, let's see what happens. I accept the agreement, whatever. Okay, whatever. Now I know that we do have to enable editing. You should have that protected view thing up at the top here, which I don't know about you, I always do when I'm opening up a Word document I'm looking at. I'm like, just get out of my way. So enable editing, and let's see what happens. Oh, you know what? Interesting. You see what just happened there? It's trying to contact my server, but it's using the old IP address. We need a new Word document. So let's go ahead and stop this. Close everything on Windows. I'm going to delete the existing follina document. See, things happen in real time. We gotta just test things out. I'm gonna go back over here to my Kali Linux box. Now, what happened here was that when I launched my follina script here, it created that Word document to reach back out to this server with the previous IP address, the old IP address. And notice we did change the network. So let's just actually run the script one more time. Do an up arrow python3 follina.py, and that should recreate the file. And now we have to re-download it. So I'll launch my terminal once more, jump into our MSTT folder, launch my Python web server on port 8080 once more, go over here to my Windows box and download that file. Keeping in mind, the situation might be that they're just receiving an email, a phishing attempt. I'll go to 10.0, there it is, port 8080. There's follina.doc. Download that. There it is, my downloads. Now everything should work. Kali is patiently waiting for this attack to occur. Let's launch follina. Okay, cool, so far so good. Let's click on enable editing and see what happens. Oh, look at all the stuff happening in Kali. Oh, okay, interesting here. Windows Defender found it, and I heard about this. Windows detected it as messdetty. Now I'm sure John already has a video on this, and if he doesn't, he will later. There is a way around that. Windows detected it that way. And this is also keeping in mind that this is not the actual malware, the actual virus running. The real one can totally bypass this messdetty, which is actually an older CVE. But anyways, check out John's stuff for that. But right now, that's kind of a bummer. I wanted to see it happen. So all we have to do is just disable Windows Defender to appease the lab gods. So let's just do that real quick. Right here, as we're analyzing our virus and threat protection, I can go to manage settings right here, and I can turn off real-time protection. It hates it when you do that. Whatever, disabling it. Now let's try it again, and it sends me a little warning like, dude, why'd you do that? Because I want to, I'm dangerous. Now let's try and launch follina once more. Launch it. Things are happening. Dude, bam. So by default, John's script will simply launch the calculator app, which is crazy. But John's script does more than that. Let's go ahead and close everything. Close it once more. Let's stop our script from running over here in Kali. If I do python follina.py and I do a --h for help, we'll see all the available options we have. With the -c command, you can pretty much run anything you want to. So if I did want to just, instead of opening calculator, open notepad, I can do that. Notepad.exe. Run that command. Notice I'm changing this in real time. I don't have to have them re-download it. The file's already there. Let's launch it real quick. And it launched Notepad that time. Dude, that is insane. Now let's do the reverse shell. John had an option for that in his script too. Again, keeping in mind, I know I keep saying this, but we don't know what the original malware is doing. This is just what John was able to do, I'm sure in like an evening, in moments. So I do python, or 3 follina.py, and I do a -r, and I'll specify a port 9999. Hit enter. This is actually launching netcat, and we're waiting on a reverse shell. So check this out. Now, when I launch follina, go ahead and launch her, I just got a reverse shell in Kali to that Windows box. For a vulnerability, that's a 0-day. That's crazy. And I can do things like type in who am I? It's the Windows box, dude. Type in dir, I can move around. Let's go to, we'll cd c users. Go to the user folder. Gotta type it right. I can look at all my stuff here. I mean, the options to exploit this, to do some lateral movement or some privileged escalation, I mean, they're all there. Once you're in, you're in. This is insane. This is crazy. I hope you got a chance to try this. Like, yeah, we had to jump through a few hoops to get the environment set up. It wasn't too bad. It's all free. And it's all pretty scary and pretty fun. Let's be honest, that was fun. Now, again, a massive shout out to Mr. John Hammond for jumping on the call with me to show me this amazing exploit, to show me how he re-engineered it, and thank you, John, for doing that. Also, shout out to all the researchers right now who are working like tirelessly to figure this thing out and to help us mitigate this. Now, of course, the greatest mitigation for situations like this is don't open weird stuff. Teach your users not to open up weird emails or to download weird documents. All the best practices that we always, or should always follow, will prevent us from falling for this hack. Now, again, to learn more about this, because it's still evolving, we're just now discovering this. To learn more and follow along, check out John Hammond's YouTube channel, link below. I also have links to some blogs and more research on this particular issue if you want to dive deeper. Yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you think. This is my first kind of like on the ground, first realization of an issue and talking about it. A little stressful to get it out this fast, but I thought it was pretty fun. Let me know if you want me to do more of this. Anyways, that's all I have today. I'll catch you guys next time.